Hello, I'm Kyle, and I want to talk about a cool Oathbreaker deck that I played past week. I actually came up with the idea about a month ago, and then I put most of it together a couple weeks ago, and I finally got to play it this past week. Um, and the Oathbreaker is Angrath, Captain of Chaos. I'm kind of I like the War of the Spark guys with sort of a static ability. I like that. And then I decided to have the signature spell be False Orders. And the deck started focused around Angrath, but now it's kind of focused around False Orders, which is great. All right, so let me talk you through this real quick. But the basic idea here is I've got Angrath out, so it's hard for my opponents to block. They have to make some tough choices and some suboptimal blocks. My creatures do stuff when they get blocked that makes it even worse. And then I can cast False Orders as kind of a combat trick to make things even worse again. All right, so that's what happens, and it's super fun to play. I had a blast. So first thing I need to do is tell you what False Orders does, and you're gonna have to look up the Oracle text. Let me read it to you here. It is a red instant, casts for just a single red, and it says cast a spell only during the declare blocker step. Remove target creature defending player controls from combat. Creatures it was blocking that had become blocked by only that creature this combat become unblocked. You may have it block an attacking creature of your choice. Okay, so there's three parts there. You target a creature that the defender controls. If it was in combat, you remove it from combat. If that means that the creatures that if it was the only blocker for the creature it was blocking, then that creature becomes unblocked. And then you take that same target creature and you can assign it to block something else, or actually you can have it block that same creature again, which becomes relevant because I said my creatures trigger when they get blocked. Okay, so now notice that part about it becoming unblocked, the attacker becoming unblocked, isn't going to happen a lot because we have Menace. We would have to use False Orders twice during the Declares Blocker step to remove both blockers from a creature. All right, so let me talk through the deck and give you an idea of what's happening. We can set this up a lot with Sumberwald Vigilante. So let's say we attack with Sumberwald Vigilante. They block with something. We have some other creatures. They declare some blocks. If they have a 1 toughness defender, we can use False Orders to force that creature to block the Sumberwald Vigilante. And because this reads, whenever Sumberwald Vigilante becomes blocked by a creature, Sumberwald Vigilante deals 1 damage to that creature. This triggers off of when a creature is assigned as a blocker, not just when it is blocked. Okay, so if they have a 1 toughness creature that I want to get rid of, I can assign it as a blocker against the Vigilante, and then I'm going to deal damage to it before any combat damage is dealt. If they have a 2 toughness creature and they choose it to block my Vigilante, it will deal 1 damage. I could cast the False Orders, take that creature, remove it, and reassign it to the same, in the same combat, reassign it back to the Vigilante, and it would deal another point of damage to that creature. Okay, so that is very exciting. All right, so these creatures here are ones with this phrasing, the templating that says becomes blocked by a creature. So they've got Sumberwald Vigilante, that's a 1/1 that does 1 damage. Ashmouth Hand is a 2/1 that deals 1 damage. Ornery Goblin is a 2/1 that deals 1 damage. Goligan Aspirant is a 2/1 that deals 1 damage. Kessid Forge Master is a 2/1 that deals 1 damage, and it also transforms to be even better if people aren't casting spells, which is pretty unlikely, but okay. Acolyte of the Inferno deals 2 damage. Vianashino Weaponsmith gets +2/+2. Quagmire Lamprey puts a -1/-1 counter on any creature when it's blocking it. And these are all great because they trigger for each creature that blocks it. So they're really They're really hitting hard. Death Gazer and Dread Spectre both destroy any non-black creatures that block it, but they don't destroy it till the end of combat. Assembled Alphas deals 3 damage to that creature and 3 damage to the creature's controller. Excellent. And then we have some equipments to make things even worse. Infiltration Lens. You get to draw 2 cards for each blocker, which is just amazing. And Dead Iron Sledge is going to destroy your creature and all the creatures that are blocking it, which not as good as the other cards, but can be pretty fun, especially in a fun format like this. All right, so those are my... Oops. Those are my... these are kind of the best. That's the best templating that we can use here. So these creatures are really some of the best there. And again, really low casting costs, so it's a pretty quick deck. These are all creatures with flanking. And I looked it up, and flanking now uses the same templating. It's whenever this creature is blocked by a creature without flanking, and you don't see a lot of flanking at the table usually, then that blocker gets -1/-1 until end of turn. So this can do a lot. Again, use the false orders to make it even worse for your opponent. Bogarden Lancer is a 1/1 with Bloodthirst 1. Searing Spear Ascari, Burning Shield Ascari, and Blazing Blade Ascari are all 2/2s with various abilities. Sukata Lancer is a flanker that has haste. Fallen Ascari is a 2/2 flanker that can't block. Cadaverous Knight is a 2/2 flanker that can regenerate for expensive mana. Shadow Rider is a 3/3 flanker. The deck doesn't have a lot of blacks, so the double black might bring this guy out later on, I don't know. And then Tellum Tor, which is awesome. When it attacks, all my attacking creatures with flanking get an additional +1/+1. So he's going to pump up this whole team here, which is outstanding. All right, now the slightly worse templating says whenever this creature becomes blocked, you can do something. So that is not quite as good. But Karplusan Wolverine is great because you can deal damage to whatever you want, to any target. So, great. You're almost certainly staying. Plague White seems like it has super flanking because it says when it becomes blocked, each creature blocking it, independent of whether they have flanking. But it's not good for multiple reasons. It's not good because, first of all, you don't have to worry about blockers having flanking very often. It doesn't get bumped up by Tellum Tor. And if it's already blocked and then you assign something else to block it with false orders, that new creature is not going to get the -1/-1 because it's already, if this ability is already resolved, it won't get the additional -1/-1. So that's not as good. Sparring Goblin kind of has super rampage. When it becomes blocked, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each creature blocking it. Again, not as good as the others, but still pretty good. The original idea of the deck actually was to be Angrath. I didn't think of a signature spell till later, but Angrath with Rampage. So Menace plus Rampage seemed good. Because if they blocked, I would always be triggering at least a little bit of Rampage. Vorchild's War Riders is great and also just hilarious. It's definitely in here. Labyrinth Raptor, really good. It makes so all of my menace creatures get this ability that when they become blocked, the player sacrifices a blocker. Obviously, with Angrath, that's amazing. So you're staying in. Fire Juggler, we clash, and if I win, it deals 4 damage to each creature blocking it. I expect I would lose the clashes a lot because this is a pretty low casting cost deck, but still pretty fun. And then I've got other cards over here. So Nemesis Mask essentially lures one of my creatures, which is great. Balduvian Warlord does some shenanigans with blockers, so that's great. Kind of along the same lines as False Orders, but not exactly the same. Sonorous Howlbonder kind of gives everything super menace, so all my menace creatures need to be blocked by 3 creatures now. Again, great with Angrath. So I realized Trample is really important. These 3 last cards help me out with Trample. Street Riot gives all my creatures +1/+1 as Trample on my turn. Undo Champion, when it hits the board, all my creatures get Trample that turn. It's a creature, so it's great. And Crash Through says creatures I control getting Trample until end of turn, draw a card. Maybe this could be a signature spell, but I just like False Orders way too much. Great. All right. I love this deck. I have a lot of fun with it. Your opponent declares their blocks, you false order something, and you now get to trigger your ability again. It is great. Please let me know what other cards you think I should put into this. I certainly, I've only played this deck twice, so it certainly has a lot of room to grow. All right, thank you so much for watching.